friend Sanozie Ugenyi. I'm the leader of diaspora for ATIKU in New Jersey. Today we are having a town hall to ask questions of our candidates, and we have the pleasure of having the very spokesman of ATIKU Abubakar. He's here with us. His name is SEGUN SOWUNMI. We'll be exposing him to a lot of questions. The people of New Jersey are very politically savvy, and they are not going to play softball tonight. They have come with serious questions that need serious answer. They want to know what ATIKU's full plans are. They want to know what his plans are for education, how to bring power back to Nigeria, infrastructure, health. These are the questions on their mind. They have asked me these questions, but I told them the best place to get answers to these questions are from the mouthpiece of the campaign. That is SEGUN SOWUNMI, who happens to be the spokesperson for the campaign. So today we are going to ask a lot of questions, and hopefully we are going to get answers to our questions.
Top notch.
I want to make a go Igbo. I see magazine in Jeko. All over the world,
Yeah, my name is High Chief Charles Eke. This is in reference to good governance in Nigeria, which we're expecting that His Excellency Alhaji ATIKU Abubakar will bring to Nigeria. So he sent in his most very powerful campaign operatives. The Shebu, the chief spokesperson for the campaign, and the Chief Ejogu Anya, the presidential campaign coordinators, to come in and talk to Nigerians in diaspora, and also to get their buy-ins into the presidency. He has created opportunity for the diasporas, and I think this is best for them. I was asked to bring all Nigerians together to listen to this very good proposal, which is called the seventh zone. And this very event is going to occur here in New Jersey today. The next will be California, Texas rather, then California, Nevada, and then they will return back to Nigeria.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience so far. We have our guests in the building right now, and we're going to usher them to the stage. Very, very soon we'll be introducing them properly, and the town hall meeting will take off in earnest. You are welcome to America.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Father, we thank you, we bless you. We worship you, we adore you. Because of you, we are here. Because of you, we will speak. Because of you, all that we are here to do will be accomplished. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Father, may you speak through us. May you give us the right questions to ask. And may you give us the right answer. In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Father, we bless you. Amen. In Jesus' name, pray.
Amen. The diaspora for ATIKU as an organization is putting this together, and we all share the same objective here. The idea is to help elect the next president of Nigeria, who will be His Excellency ATIKU Abubakar. This is a nice place to clap for. I'm going to call on the leader of this organization. He's the lead national coordinator of this organization, and he will give us the opening remark. Ladies and gentlemen, even though he didn't prepare for this, I'm sure he didn't know I was going to call him. Please help me welcome and encourage him with a loud round of applause. Chief Charles Ugo Eke, lead national coordinator, DFA, Diaspora for People.
Most of you who knows me know I'm not a man of too much speech. I couldn't prepare one either. So I'm not going to open up the bag of what's going to be unveiled here today by SEGUN and Chifonia. I think I will leave that for them. But the thorough reason why we're here today is for them to let you guys know how diasporans will participate. And it has been my core of interest to make sure that the diasporans are involved and participate. As most of you know, some of you who has been with me as I transverse in this game of politics, from the mayoral to governorship, you know that I've always made sure that the interests of the Africans, the interests of the diasporans are part of the policy. And the reason why I took this job was because there is something for the diaspora. And as His Excellency said, they have been forgetting too long, and this is the time for the diaspora to be involved. I'm not going to preempt their speech, but I'm going to give you more ammunitions to have more questions. But let me assure you this. Some of you who were at the conference call with SEGUN knows that SEGUN can talk for 3 hours without drinking water. You were there with him when His Excellency asked him to dial into that teleconference. And it was in that teleconference from 3 o'clock in Nigerian time till about 5:30. I was the one that told him that it's time for him to go back to sleep. The campaign is very tough in Nigeria. As you know, I just came back 4 days ago. It's very tough there, and we need everybody's help. People have been asking me, what do you want the diasporans to do? There's a lot. Whoever you give your money, control his mouth. Who pays the piper? It takes the tone. We must begin to tell them where the PVC will be used. It is very important, it is very essential that we let them know that the change must come. Not the change that was promised but never came. We want a change to come. And we want that change to include us, including myself, and including you and the children. That's why we're in this game. We want to bring the rightful person. Again, I'm not going to preempt it. If you look at when ATIKU and the passengers game, if any of you here was able to attend September 2000 in Atlanta, when we were called up to come up and begin the NIDO. The NIDO was supposed to be a vehicle or a conduit for us to participate in the governance. But that has gone different route altogether. That call was made in Atlanta in September 2000, and I was one of the 1,000 that were asked to come and get NIDO going, and we did. But you see where that has gone. In this one, and in this administration of ATIKU, I will be involved to make sure that diasporans get what belongs to them. In terms of setting the policy, helping out from here in New Jersey to make sure that they do the same thing the way it's done. I want all of you to follow me to make sure that ATIKU is pronounced the President of Nigeria, February 17th. As you all know, 16th is the election. It might not end that day. It might be pronounced the next day, 17th. And we'll all go to Villa and have some little toast of
It will be a landslide on the 16th.
That's what I predict, Bonnie. And then I'll come back to New Jersey and go back to my little shell and continue what I do for state. But for now, my country, comes first. I must serve my country. Come follow me, my fellow Nigerians, and also help me to welcome the able people for the campaign. As you know, most of you have known Shebu, those who have been watching TVs and news and whatever. You know Chifonia, you've probably heard about that name during Obasanjo's time. All of you heard about that name. He's back again. He's the one that come up with Forward, friend of ATIKU. He's the national chair. That was the platform that His Excellency used. So we have a powerhouse here. So I'm going to introduce my good friend, my partner in crime, political crime. That's where we have a little relationship. So please help me to welcome my good friend, SEGUN. So. And also, please help me welcome. Please help me. Please help me welcome Chief Ejiofor Enya, Forward National Chairman.
With all pleasure, I'm here to not to preach to the Pope or to the converted, but to let you know that we appreciate all that you guys have been doing. I used to be part of you. I lived there for almost 18 years, starting from New York to Ohio to Washington, D.C. I left this country about 35 years ago. Whoa. It's quite a long time, isn't it? Yes. And I've been on the political train with Waziri ATIKU as far back as 1987. He's a man I think I know very well. We have been in the trenches with Shehu Musa Yaradua. We started the journey. Well, for some reason, things didn't go the way we planned originally. But it was God's divine intervention that this time has come. And when the time came for him, it didn't take me a minute to go to him to say, listen, we've had a mission. And that mission which we had as far back as 87 was to build a united country, devoid of all sorts of tribalism, a country where we will set up a rulership in a fashion that will take the country to the height that is expected, where selfishness does not exist. So, as I said, by God's divine, this time has come. And in fact, we thought it might never come the way we were going. But now that it's here, it is your opportunity and mine to set this country straight. What we have in Nigeria now is unfortunate. It wasn't expected, but it has come. I think every right-thinking Nigerian knows that the leadership now is not adequate for the country. Every right-thinking Nigerian knows that Waziri ATIKU has all it takes to set the country on a path of success. Well, we know the future belongs to the young. Some of us, like me, I am analog. And Waziri is half analog, I'm half digital. But people like SEGUN here is completely digital. So the plan is to bring together the analog like me, or half analog, with the complete digital to start the journey. And within the next 4 or 5 years, it becomes a digital affair. And that is why we need people like you, professionals in their own rights, people who have succeeded in different spheres of their profession, but who are living abroad, to come home. He will tell you more, because he's the spokesperson. I'm not as eloquent as he is. But we need you to come home, to build this country that we all know will eventually be the country everybody will be envious of. We have the people, we have the resources, we have the personnel. I don't think there's any country with more educated people than Nigeria. But we only need leadership to put it together. And I can guarantee you that ATIKU is the man who can do this without looking back. If you remember, during Obasanjo's tenure, he was instrumental in bringing in some young talents into the government. Some of them did very well, some did well and betrayed, but irrespective, it is the way forward. And therefore, the reason we are here, as you can see, is 4:24 a.m. So I'm a little bit disoriented, you can understand that, because I've been here only 24 hours ago. But because of the importance of this occasion, I have to stay awake. I'm not as young as I look anyway, but having left this country 35 years ago, you can imagine my age. So this is the reason we're here. And we want you to please play a prominent role in what is coming up. Let me stop at this point, because SEGUN will expatiate a lot more. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Tonight we are going to find out a lot. But before we go into the interactive session, let us get a remark from the spokesman for ATIKU, Mr. SOWUNMI. Let's put our hands together for him.
I suppose it's good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you see, there's a reason why we say, when we say let's get Nigeria working again, we said we expect that the call should be ATIKU. ATIKU. Let's get Nigeria working again. The leaders of this organization, isee-cvic, and all the very prominent people that have put this together, on behalf of His Excellency ATIKU, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, GCON, presidential candidate of obviously the only truly democratic party in Nigeria that has stood the test of time in name and color and symbol, the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria. I want to sincerely thank you for bordering. Sometimes when you have been out of the morass of Nigeria and you have figured out how to make yourself comfortable and do meaningful things to yourself in societies like this, it can become a lot easier not to be interested in what's going on back home. But there's something about the African spirit. Slavery did not make the people forget. So it's impossible for an African truly to forget home. Where are we today? I needn't bore you with the statistics, but the statistics are very, very grim. There's no reason for us to be the poverty capital of the world. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for us to be one of the most miserable countries in the world. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason for us to be one of the countries that is expected to fail or could likely fail, as at the tipping edge of failure. There's truly no reason for that. Why do I say there's no reason for that? We do not know of any nation that has the human capital that Nigeria has. We have looked at almost all the Ivy League organizations of the world, at some of the big agencies outside of Nigeria, and we find out that perhaps the only thing that keeps the country going is you people. So on behalf of all of your friends, relatives, cousins, associates, hangers on that you support at home, the government is out there, it's not really doing very well. The younger ones that are hopeful of what can happen in the future. I want to thank you for being fantastic ambassadors of Nigeria. But for what you do in the diaspora, there might have been absolutely no glimmer of hope that anything great is possible anymore in the country. But what then do we need to do going forward? This conversation is in two phases. The first is that you know we need to put a government in place that understands and listens, that has the capacity and the ability to comprehend the fine issues of human capital development and sustainable societies. We have looked at them all, and we find out that given our peculiar nature as a country, struggling to be one country, we need someone that can unify Nigeria. For 5 minutes after anybody gets in charge of the country, the next issues that people have to deal with is the tribal cleavages that divide our country. So, if you must have a chance at being able to do anything great for the totality of the country, you need to bring to the table that ability to unite Nigeria. ATIKU, by maybe providence, is related to almost every part of Nigeria. And by his own acculturization and attitude, especially given the mentorship that Chief Ejiofor mentioned here, that they had a vision for as long as 1987 to build a political movement that can build a bridge across the whole of Nigeria. Because they had seen, or they are the forebearers, or they are the ones that come immediately, a successor generation of a people whose politics was extremely tribal and sectional. And so the fire to build a national movement for political leadership was stroked by Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, and also working with younger people like himself and ATIKU and a few others. They started to struggle. But societies don't just yield to ideas. People must painstakingly work on it with tenacity. Then comes the next thing that ATIKU brings to the table, tenacity. It takes tenacity to keep pulling yourself up after every defeat or every disappointment in trying to provide leadership for you to do it again. Because I must tell you, it's expensive. And for the better part of it, until you have started to raise yourself, help doesn't really come. So you have to keep finding the money, and you keep losing the money, and keep finding the money, and keep losing the money. And that's where ATIKU developed the tenacious energy that we think will be useful now to drive Nigeria to the next level. There's also the issue of the 2.3 million or more people that we can't find jobs for. For your information, Nigeria has one of the youngest population in the world with an average age of 18 years old. So that means, in the real sense of the word, within the next 10, 20 years, Nigeria could literally double its population from close to 200 million to 400 million. Because all that will need to happen is that they need to get married and 1 or 2 kids afterwards. You got a population there. And if you have a major unemployment issue now in the country without a social stabilization safety net for everybody, then you know that we could just have a bump in our face. If people become despondent, if they become extremely angry, if they figured out that they couldn't get themselves to live meaningful and decent life like you all live and a couple of them in Nigeria to live, then they could get violent. If the Arab Spring can happen, you dare not say that can happen in Nigeria. Everybody could have guessed that given the monarchical systems that ran in some of those countries where you had those implosions, those things were impossible. But it happened. You lost stable leadership in Egypt, you lost in Syria, you lost all over. So we know that we have a ticking time bomb. We need somebody who can create jobs. And how do you even really create jobs? You're aware, and you need to preach to your colleagues at home and your people at home, you cannot create jobs by employing people in government. That's not how it works. We've left the first agri revolution where government could just farm people into farms. We've moved through the second coal revolution and the steel revolution. We're now at the fourth industrial revolution, a highly punishing revolution that works only on efficiency. Because that's how it's supposed to be with the computer age. We know that in the next 20, 30 years, more than 800 million humans will not be able to get a job no matter how hard they try, because artificial intelligence and the computer would have created zero need for the efficiency of man in some jobs. Now, how do you even begin to deal with that in a country like Nigeria, where the human capital indicators suggest that we're not even investing in the right things to prepare ourselves for the future? So you need a leader that can create jobs. For you to create jobs, you need to understand what private sector people that create businesses and create opportunities to take on people for jobs, what do they need? ATIKU is a private sector person. He's a businessman, he's a job creator himself. At the last count, the statistics is never here or there, but it's close to 50,000 people on his payroll. Some of these companies are not doing as well as they would have wanted them to do. It's sustaining them there, keeping them there, and encouraging them to become profitable, just because he understands the job creation component of creating jobs. Then you need to ask ourselves as Nigerians, how do we explain that we are the country with the largest number of internally displaced people that is not in a real war in the world? Maybe I better break that down. It simply means we are the country at war with itself. There's no external aggression. Nobody's firing rockets into our area. We don't have territorial challenge with anybody. The last one we had with Cameroon is all but resolved. And yet, everywhere you turn, you have IDPs. Those are indicators that the society is failing gradually. And of course, because things get rotten from a point, and if you don't even manage it, it's a bit like a cancer really. It's eventually going to eat through the whole thing and there's nothing to save. So we need to figure out how to secure the country. And how do you secure the country when you're fighting yourselves? If you're having issues with external, you can always think about, okay, a rearmament, put the armed forces where you need them to be, buy more troops, fire into the enemy territory, go kill them. Yeah, okay, but you're not dealing with that. You're dealing with terrorism that you can't be sure is even fundamentally ideologist. You just know that criminality elevated to an indolence level that is absolutely unacceptable. So for you to be able to solve it, you need a leader or someone who first of all speaks the language, understands the culture, understands the religion, and understands the working of the borders. ATIKU has all of that. The first 20 years of his life, he worked in the customs. You also need to ask, okay, everybody mouths it. Nigeria needs to diversify its economy, it needs to diversify its economy. We can't be a monoproduct economy where, hello, but it's not been able to be done for a while. So that means you need someone who understands how the economy works and can expand the economic space so that perhaps we will even make a little bit more money from human capital development and investment of other people and FDIs and inviting private sector people. By private sector this time, we're looking for Nigerians in diaspora to come and take the advantage of the next government. Why? Because you can't be mercenaries in your own country. We have seen and we've observed that other people who come in under the disguise of private foreign investment or taking advantage of opportunities, the minute we open the door, however tight we make the rules, they truly act like mercenaries. They are either holding down our people in their labor camps or taking out all of the benefits to their country or acting in manners that will not be acceptable in their own countries. But I doubt if you organize yourself and you became the private sector player in all of the sector, the oil and gas, the infrastructure and all of that, and health and education, I doubt whether the empathy that connects you to your siblings will ever allow you to make money at too much of their own expense. So we know that the conversation has to start now. So when you put it all together, you will realize that it's just we don't have any alternative. Lucky us, we're in a democracy. We could literally have been stuck with this. Remember the guy in charge now, for the president now, President Buhari, used to be General Buhari. And we could literally have been in this kind of situation in a dictatorship or in a military government where, except we can find someone to help us do a coup, we're stuck with it until some other brilliant or not so brilliant soldier comes to make things worse. The benefit of democracy is that it gives us a timed opportunity to do another introspection and ask another question, and then take the franchise that we've been given, which is that vote, to sort out things. And that's where we are now. Now, what do we think you can do to make things walk in the direction or give us the outcome we want? The first is that you have no idea how much money you are contributing. Maybe you do individually, but you have no idea what the pool of money that members of the diasporas are putting into the economy at home just by looking after family members who are acting for Western Union, who's taking a check, who's getting some dollars through the envelope, who's getting a gift and all that. That's a lot of power if you know how to use it. India. The present Prime Minister of India, Modi, opposition he used to be, and he needed to try and win. And you know, their system is even worse. It's a parliamentary system. You must bring in not only votes for yourself, you must bring in enough votes for your own coalition to be able to form government. How did they do it? What role did the diaspora people play? I'm going to tell you today. What they did, one of the things they did among many other things, like we're campaigning very hard at home too, but what did the diaspora people do there? The Indian diasporas took the position that they will run the call centers into India from locations like this. How does it work? It means divide yourselves into states, probably making it easy for yourself by dividing yourself into the states of origin that you presently come from in Nigeria, and then make the calls to individual people that are on the voters list. First things first, however busy anybody is in Nigeria, not even me, not even ATIKU, if the call has +0, we'll pick it. We'll pick it, we'll pick it. Because we will pick it. We have gotten used to a sense of expectation that every call that comes from abroad is for something good. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's mostly for something good. So if you just call them with your normal phone, buy the same card, reach to call people, and just take it upon yourself every day, call 50, call 20, call whatever number you can call, and just say to them, hello, I'm Chief Ejiofor. I'm saying to you that, hey, I'm here, okay, I think you should vote ATIKU for 3 reasons. 1, he can get the country running. 2, he understands the economy. 3, is life more abundant for you. Go get your PVC, organize yourself. If you did that in numbers, can you just imagine if we all now started to do that? Can you imagine how many people could move? Because I think that what will determine who wins the next election is not the most popular candidate. The groundswell in the country is good for ATIKU, is good for our party, is good for our candidate. What's going to determine who wins the next election is who is able to animate his own followers enough to get them to go to the poll. So it's some kind of go get out the votes campaign, but on a subtle level that we have seen and we know works. The second thing you can do, if you're motivated, and I think you should be, because I'm coming to explain to you the benefits, is to organize those you are already supporting at home and make it very, very clear to them. I've looked at things critically, and I believe you have, and you think that it's in their best interest to vote the direction of your persuasions, and you want them to now go organize themselves along the polling booths they already exist on a model of 1 man, 3 others, which means 1 man, 4 votes. So can you imagine for a second that if you called one of your SEGUN, if you call one of the, just one, not even 2 yet, you call one of the people that you already support at home, and you tell them, look, what I want from you right now is go to your polling booths, get 25 people, get their names and let me know that you have their names, make sure they have their PVC, and when you have 25, call me back. I give you like 2 days, that's easy. It's just 25 people. Once it gets to 25 and you tell them, look, I want you to talk to these 25 people, and each of them should bring 3 people from their homes. Now, if we have to bring 3 people from our homes to go and vote on the day of the election, it's very, very easy. You probably start with your wife if you're a man, or your husband if you're a woman. There will always be one relative around you, and if you're matured enough, you may have a friend or a family or relative, or a maid or a boy, somebody that works with you. So you get your 3 people plus yourself, that's 4. If your 1 seed produces 25, and that 25 produces 100, that means even before the votes count, you got 100 people already in 1 polling booth. In Nigeria, we have 19,973 polling units, and if each of you can find ways to get to different polling units, and if you have the capacity and the energy and the interest, it's not even as expensive, it's not even expensive at all. If you're motivated to get about 25 in maybe like 100 or 50 or 20, whatever you can do, let no man carry a body that is heavier than they can bear. You will just find out that before the votes even gets counted, you already have 100 in each of those polling booths where you have implemented the strategy. And if you do that on a big scale, imagine if you cover the whole country, you're bringing in already about 30 million votes even without trying. Because that's how to run an exponential winning matrix in an election in Nigeria, like the one we're going to run in Nigeria. Over and above that, the other thing you can do from here is that, look, I do not know whether Africans are stuck in the feudal past of being kings or obas, ises, emir, and all of that, that they kind of like think that once they get into position of authority, the next thing is to not obey the rules of engagement. We fear that if significant pressure is not brought in from external, we could run ourselves into another very, very difficult situation where the man who wins the election may not even form government. Okay, maybe it's a far-fetched risk, but the risk is there. So the only way for us to be able to mitigate against that risk right now is to encourage those of you that are in societies like this, deputy mayor most especially, and all such highly influential people, to put a bit of pressure on the governments that are nearest to you, to show a little bit more interest in Nigeria. And I can tell you how you can justify it for them. You can justify it for them by telling them that right now in Nigeria, not counting you all, they're close to 3-4 million Nigerians who have multiple citizenship to the United States of America. So if there's a destabilization in America, in Nigeria right now, you'll be amazed that the next thing, the money, you're going to have a drone of people just coming in who are legitimately able to come in because they are citizens. You can't even, you're closing the wall because you obviously understand that demography is changing. So you don't even need Africa, Nigeria to be destabilized now. Not to talk about the human carnage around its neighborhood. So you see, you better encourage them to do all they can to ensure that it's sent to the Nigerian authority very clear signal that Nigeria has adopted the American-style democracy. It comes with responsibility to the mother of that idea, America. And that is to say to Nigerian government and the entire participants in the electoral process that they will stand for nothing other than a free, a fair, a transparent and credible election. Once they can say that, once they say it enough for everybody to understand, then I think that you will see that we'll have a very free, fair, transparent election. And if we have a free, fair, and transparent election, there is no way ATIKU will not be installed, elected, declared president of Nigeria. And when he becomes president, that's where it gets a lot sweeter now. What's in it for the diaspora audience according to the clear conviction? You know, there's a difference between a plan, a potential suggestion, and a conviction. His Excellency ATIKU is completely convinced that Nigeria must model itself around either of these 3-4 countries. Each of these countries are great today because of their kind of citizens that are like you, the diaspora citizens. India wallowed for a very long time in poverty, couldn't really move until he connected into his diaspora citizenship, who now began to do experience transfer, not necessarily technology. If you just by being part of this kind of society, some of you know how to organize the sewage system. Some of you know how to organize special education. Some of you know how to organize healthcare. Some of you know how to organize food stamps and social security for the people. Some of you know just how to organize things because you have participated in a process that works. Almost every skill you have now, for which you are celebrated, your people at home can benefit from the model that can work there. And you don't even need to try too hard. You just need to dust up, roll up your sleeve and start writing it out. Okay, how do they do this? How do we do it? How is it sustainable? How do we check it? How do we make sure it can't be broken? How do we mitigate the African tendencies? How do we keep it away from corruption? How do we make it sustainable for the long term? How did they do it here? That's how India did it. And today, no one there calls India. I'm even suspecting that they actually gifted them with that, removing them from the list of the poorest people in the world and just dumped it on Nigeria. Because it doesn't make sense. They have a larger population than us. You see all the things going on in Bombay, Calcutta, and all of those areas. And yet, the entire world, all the agencies that rate in the world now says our good old Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. That's unacceptable. It should make you angry a little bit. You should wonder why that should be so. Then there's also China. For one of the oldest civilizations that has been keeping records of government is China. For many years, it was a backwater area, locked in, probably almost becoming a potential embarrassment to the entire world given the size of its population. But again, they also connected to a diaspora movement here. People that they had sent out, who had been out, who have seen how things work outside, and who have now begun to interfere with the economy, with the education, especially research. If you must know, China has more research institutes than anywhere else in the world. And these research institutes were not creation of Chinese at home. They were copying MIT, copying Princeton, copying everything they could see, and coming back to China to help start it. Some of them didn't even have to leave America. They only needed to go plant the seed and put the model and put the diagram in place. And hello, in 10 years, China has done what has never been done in human civilization. They have moved more than 700 million people out of poverty. Do you get it? I better repeat that. It's never been done in human civilization. They have moved more than 700 million people out of poverty. And at the rate at which they're going, I know people don't believe, but I kind of think that if we check, we just may find out that they're the biggest economy in the world now. Although we like to still keep the title for the United States, Big Uncle Sam, just to make Uncle Sam a bit more comfortable, especially with the kind of president you have right now. But the fact of the matter is that no one can take China for granted. And that happened only because the diaspora community there realized that there is no pride in being a statistics in another man's land when you have a vast canvas to paint a beautiful picture for a nation that however you try, they will always call you African. The best you got in here is Obama, who was obviously a former president. And you know and I know that as much as possible that they still call him an American president, but they still always tell him he's an African. So you're not going to kind of like escape this. Obama was not even born in Kenya, so how are your kids going to escape it? So if you're not going to escape it, if your children are not likely to escape it, if the only way your third generation will escape it is by cross-marrying until their colors begin to change and they begin to funkify their name and they don't call themselves AK again, they call themselves Ike, then you know you have to come and fix motherland. The third nation that you need to compare yourselves with, and I pray that you take this very seriously because perhaps that is the one that is even most profound, is Israel. Israel is the startup capital of the world because of its diaspora community. And let's be honest. Let's be really honest. We have gone to look at everywhere you all and your colleagues, some of them that are not here, have been in academic environments with all of these other races. And guess what we found out? We found out that you guys always beat them. We found out that the Nigerian was always either, maybe because, I don't know what it is, but you guys are outperforming everybody. You are performing them in education, you are performing them in science, you are performing them in medicine, you are performing them in music, you are performing them in culture. You even have the effrontery and the audacity to even supplant your own culture in this environment without anybody being able to stop you. Do you know the capacity that you have? In ICT, you guys are kings. These are the kinds of things you need to start doing back home. And I'm not even asking you to dislocate yourself by leaving. I'm only saying that when you have an ATIKU as president, he commits to an idea that Nigeria is going to be run by the smartest and the best idea on the table. Now, in that statement alone is the opportunity I show you. If the government and the president has committed to an idea that we are going to run things going forward with the smartest idea on the table, hello, where would they find those smart ideas if not here? Because just by observation, you don't even have to be the best in your field. Just by observing what one of the journals says, or what you've seen at work, or what one presentation or one training manual says, you can easily rewrite it, put it on the table, and it will be by far the best idea on the table for whatever project, whatever thing, whatever thinking process you want to do. The second thing that you can be sure is going to happen under ATIKU is that His Excellency feels that more has not happened with the diasporans in spite of NIDO. And he thinks that it's time now to come and give the diasporans some help here in organizing themselves. So as we begin to form that government, we're going to be using our embassies and our Ministry of External Affairs now as incubator hubs for the diasporan people, so that you can do a few things on behalf of the country, and even the country can do a few things on your behalf. The first is that we think that you people should now get a database of your skill set. Who is where, what, and what skills do they have? So that if you have a database of the skill set, then it becomes a lot easier. You don't have to lobby too much. You don't have to know anybody. If we need the skill set in a particular position, we can just go to your data bank, and we can just call up. And if the person is participating in your programs, then you can find the references that he needs to be given an opportunity. And we've done it before. Nobody knew Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Adams. She could have been like, okay, maybe some person that will be here, and the world will say, oh, you know, Ngozi is the one that's working in World Bank. What does that mean? Nobody knows on the international stage. His Excellency ATIKU had come to America shortly after they won the election. And on the heels of a World Bank event, he had just said to the president of the World Bank, sir, I'm concerned that we know we have a lot of debt, but we don't even know who we owe, what we owe, and where we owe. Can you find out somebody that can track this debt? Look at the word, track this debt. Oh, and I said, okay, yes, I know someone that we can send to you. She's quite brilliant, she's good at that. Ngozi here. Now I want to ask, don't you all lie what Ngozi has been able to do with herself? And even the reputation she's built over the years, just because she came home to work. So we can create 1,000 Ngozis out of it. What about Soludo? Similar story. What about Nasiru El-Rufai? Nasiru was someone who had been invited to, I think I've been invited to a function of this nature in London. And before he spoke, because he was already vice president, the microphone was passed to some young person within that particular conference, and it was Nasiru. And Nasiru came in there, and if you know, this little midget came and delivered what was a classy, shall we show me type of representation. And the next thing His Excellency ATIKU did was to call him over and ask him, do you have something you're doing here that you wouldn't want to leave? And Nasiru said, no. He said, okay, would you want to come back home and be in government and work with me? He said, yes, and the rest is history. I'm not sure Nasiru hates the experience of now being someone that could potentially be a president in the future, just because of the way things have worked out up to now. He may not be, he may be, but the fact of the matter is that he's been given an opportunity to do the master plan of Abuja. He's been given an opportunity to run Bureau of Public Enterprise, which he did. He's been given an opportunity right now. He's a governor. And it's not just a governor, it's a governor that people take seriously relative to their kind of government. So what am I saying to you? There is no losing investment in politics, the minimum you get out of it is fame, even if you lose. What's wrong with fame? Many people will not be remembered after they are dead, no matter how hard they try. But those that have a bit of fame within a generation at least can stretch themselves a little bit further. And if they are lucky, their children can continue their name. So fame is not bad, especially the kind of good fame that gives you people remembering you and realizing that you contributed something good. Over and above that, you have an opportunity occasionally to be given a service. And do you know what good it does when you just realize and they're doing the role of honor and you go somewhere and they're citing you for all of the greater good you've done for the people of your country? Ladies and gentlemen, members of the diasporas, we have truly no choice. Your children, my children, most of them will not have the emotional connection to Africa and to Nigeria unless we give them something to be a little bit hopeful about now. If things continue the way they are, you can bet it. Whereas you have stories of Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Namadu Bello, and all of those, Osadebe, everybody. You have those stories to remind yourself of a glorious Nigeria. Some of you even got public school. Some of you got meals in school. Some of you got school uniform. Some of you came here even on government scholarship. What then do you think you need to give back to your country? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get Nigeria working again. Let's do whatever we need to do. ATIKU is a good man. He's focused on what needs to be focused on. He understands that no man can do it all by himself, and he calls upon you in a handshake of partnership. Thank you very much. Good morning.
If the spokesman for ATIKU can be this articulated, then you begin to wonder the material inside the man himself, ATIKU. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, our time is fast spent. We'll be asking questions. But please, let me just put this out there. Can you just put your phones on vibrate so that we don't keep interrupting with it, please? Moreover, what else? We are going to ask questions for just 1 minute. Wrap it around 1 minute. Whatever you are going to ask, please start thinking about it now and compose it. 1 minute, please, so that we can be out of here. Again, if you have heard answers to the question that you were planning in a previous question answered, please avoid it. Let's just move on. Just skip, please. At this time, I'm going to ask, if you have questions, please raise your hand.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for coming to speak with us. I think everybody in this room knows who I am. I'm a medical doctor. I've been in this country for many years. My children are grown, working in different areas of industry, banks. I'm just stepping down, handing over to him, the chairman of Nigerian Medical Association in New Jersey. Also, I was one of the transition team and our governor here and healthcare aspect of the policy. For the past 17 years, I've been going to Nigeria with medical team, going to Nigeria, serving in local areas for those that have been neglected in our society. The death rate in Nigeria is so alarming. In my village today, there still are almost 4 people not buried. My niece is in the mortuary. The eze of my community is in the mortuary. One of the communities in Hime. I'm from Imo State, Mbano. My question, I think you have articulated some of the concerns that many of us have. What is the platform for the next president, ATIKU, for the healthcare in Nigeria? There are more than, I don't know how many, if I can put my hands to how many doctors, Nigerian doctors in this country. Many of us are well qualified. I'm one of the doctors in the faculty at Hackensack Hospital. But when we look around, many of our people are going to India. The Eze that I just mentioned, he was on his way to India because many of them have lost confidence in the system. So what can you bring to the next president? How to change the healthcare environment in Nigeria? Thank you very much. And my last question, please, is one. How did you get here? Did you come with other countries' airline, or did you come with Nigerian Airways? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bilo. You are always articulate when you put questions across. All right. So what I'm going to do now is get all the questions, and then they will answer them accordingly. Dr. Leah.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Nelson Eluya. I'm an assistant professor of medicine at Rutgers University. And like I said, the incoming president of AMPA, the Nigerian American Physicians in Americas. I'm also the president of the New Jersey Medical Association. So I wear a couple of hats, and we're trying to do as much as we can, like you stipulated, to make a difference in our community. I must first commend you for the very eloquent and deliberate, emphatic method of which you delivered all what you said. I hope ATIKU comes in and you guys hit the ground running. Now, my question is coming on a different prompt. Nigeria with a 200 million population, and comparing Africa for 2019 will be 1.3 billion, which is about 70% of the world population. And with a GDP of 375, which is abysmal compared to every other country who, in comparison, we should be like. And that's about 0.16% of the world GDP. Like you also said, we are one of the youngest population in Africa. As a matter of fact, we're number 6 on that list. Number 1 is Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, and then Niger. And you and I both know where Chad and Niger stand in comparison with what we are. Now, I'll give you a little more statistics, I will draw it back, and I'm sorry for the time. There's where I'm going to. Now, our GDP per capita is right now about 2,400. Now, it's proposed in the next 20 to 30 years that may even drop down to about 1,200, based on what we were in the 60s. And there's a reason why. One, because of the increase of our population and our porous borders, and the number of young people who we have. So understanding, and our population rate, as a matter of fact, is actually about 8-point-something%. That's the average lifespan a woman will give birth in Nigeria, in the north. In the south, it's a little less, about 4 or 5. Now, if you put all of these things together, our GDP per capita, our population increase, our population rates and all that, you find out that it's not surprising that we're right now being called the poorest country on earth. And the reason why. So my question is two-pronged. One, what would the government of ATIKU do hitting the ground running to control population in our country? Because it's imperative. It detects every single thing that affects the economy, including human capital and including health delivery. That's one. Two, how are we going to curtail the influx of people from the north. We understand that. Because if you look at what's going on, desert encroachment, Africa has lost over 20%, 20 square meters of arid land. So it's impossible that those guys will definitely move down south. And that's what we're seeing. And all the issue with, you know, the Fulani and the farmers, it's imperative that it's going to happen because of all these things put together. So how, one, control population, two, how would you, attack the issue with the border and control our border? Thank you.
Please put your hands together for the multiple questions. Okay, Uche Boni Life.
Thank you, Prince. I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a PhD candidate. So I want to welcome you and Chief Ejiofor to the Garden State of New Jersey. You are highly welcome. It is true, as a young, patriotic son of Imo State, that I come home twice a year for my love for the country and my state. But there are so many things that we can begin to synthesize on how Nigeria should be better. But I want to ask this question. I am in love with the ATIKU mindset. I am in love with the ATIKU vision. I want to know what is His Excellency's worldview. Because Nigeria today have no worldview. I have no idea. I have nothing to tell anybody that asks me, what does Nigeria stand for out there? What is ATIKU's worldview? And the second part of my question is, I worked for over 15 years for the United States Senator of late Frank Lamberg. And I was a deputy field organizer for Barack Obama campaign. And I consulted for the Jonathan campaign. There were some ideas how to bring the smartest Nigerians back home. But what I saw happening from the Senate office, the policy America had, they came to the computer centers in Nigeria. Rather, they gave visa lottery to the smartest Nigerians and brought them to America. What policy does His Excellency have to counter that, to begin to repatriate those intellects and those intellectuals back to Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you, Uche Boni Life.
I'll start with Dr. Obilo's question. That is the New Jersey Health Center. What is the platform for healthcare in Nigeria and how to change the healthcare environment? And did we come with Nigerian ways or did we come foreign? Look, there is no point in rehashing the ugly situation we found ourselves. One of the things that we believe absolutely is that human history is replete with evidence of societies who had worse circumstances in modern times and recreated everything that the whole world is going, wow. Did we come with Nigerian Airways? No, we didn't. We've not had a national carrier for some time. The last attempt at trying to have one by the Buhari administration turned out to be a major embarrassment of no mean dimension. They spent all the money just to go and launch a logo. And when they finally launched the logo, they didn't even take the care to be sure that they even have an aircraft that can carry them with a logo, and they had wasted a lot of money. Well, he said it's okay to be angry with them, but there's no point. That's a waste of emotion. The fact of the matter is that the way forward is to see business as strictly business. If we created the environment for private capital to come in and take that industry, and they could access the kind of resources, and our government, the government that took Obaka, can match them with a grant to fast track whatever it is they needed to do, then we are absolutely sure that we'll have a Nigerian Airways again, or whatever name we want to call it, that will be a Nigerian one. After all, we have local carriers within the country. We will need to bring in expertise in managing airline logistics and the funding of it to be able to run an airline. And by the grace of God, that is what we're looking for. We're basically looking for those cheap partners. We're looking for those people that have that fire burning in them. And I can assure you, the government of ATIKU Abubakar and Peter Obi are fully committed to the concept of matching grants. How does it work? We understand that we have a lot of catching up to do. So we're going to be using government resources a bit more cleverly. We're going to be insisting that, say for instance, if you raise $1 million or 2 million or 10 million, whatever million you can raise in your country, and you needed, government could give you the same grant of the same amount of money you are able to bring to the table to help you fund bankable ideas. We'll put that grant there. And you can go try the idea out, and then we'll give you some, moratorium, and you can pay back. It makes you have double access. Instead of running with only your own energy, you're running with your energy and some part of your government's energy. So I believe that the market is large, and you may be able to take that opportunity. What are we going to do with the health environment? Look, it is for good measure that we say it's time to open up the damn economy. We have tried building brick and mortars underneath an idea of primary health care, where we just drop in embarrassing infrastructure all over the place without connecting it together to see how it works. So what is ATIKU and Obi looking to do with that? We're actually looking for a working plan from those of you that are in the diaspora who can come up with an idea of how do we connect the vulnerable to healthcare. Some of the things that we're playing with is an idea that says, look, the rich will get by. We can almost see them getting by. What about the poor? What about the vulnerable? Can we begin to now convert healthcare delivery now to private sector, wherein, say, take the case of Imo State where you come from, we can then divide the citizens in Imo State to the doctors that we have, and then tell our doctors, you, some of your friends, those that are still there, to now attend to them as private practice, and government can pay. The same way, somebody can just get up in America and go to the practitioner and get attended to an either insurance company or some person's pay without the guy having to come up with the money. We think because of the need for us to invest in human capital development, the time to do that for Nigeria is now. But where do we get the sustainable model that experience has used and has worked? We can look to you in America, New Jersey. We can look to them in Canada. We can look to them in the UK. But that's the model. Over and above that, we hope to be able to stimulate private sector hospitals now that will cater for social needs. Essentially, there's no free lunch anywhere. Somebody is paying. What has been happening with Nigeria in terms of healthcare delivery is that we've not convinced ourselves, we've not applied ourselves to an idea that people can't go to medical school for 7 years, spend so many years to get educated, and then they won't be able to get a reasonable income for the services we expect them to render. And there are locations everywhere in the world that's willing to have them work and willing to pay them a decent wage to deliver the same experience and medical expertise and training for their own people. So we have to match it. Humans and the economies of the world will not run on an idea that you can expect your people to be charitable with their skills. We must come to the point, and we're now at the point where we're saying we now need to figure out how to pay the right wage for the skills of our people and give them the environment and the same opportunity created here for them to be able to earn the kind of money that is decent and appropriate, and then government can figure out a way via a combination of health insurance, health grants, and whatever you have. But we need to reduce the number of people that die from infant mortality, issues of women trying to give birth, and access to medicine. So, Dr. Obilo, I return it back to you. Thank goodness God, you're an expert in this field. Settle in now. Give yourself the audacity of hope and design a sustainable model that can, plug in the people, pay the doctors a reasonable wage, ensure that via taxation and some insurance, the whole system runs continuously. Because basically that's what's happening here. Government doesn't have money on the table that is given everybody. It designs a system where people can get it. And then the most important thing that you should put in the design, and I really want to charge you to do it, I'm charging you on behalf of His Excellency, and I'm going to tell him I charge you to do it, is to figure out how the system will not be abused. Nigeria, our country, has never had a drought of brilliant ideas on paper. The major bane of this country, or our country, has always been the implementation strategy that can be sustained. And that's one of the reasons why we're saying it's time to liberalize it. Because we have found out from experience that almost everything the private sector has in their hand seems to survive. And they're surviving under the same sun, the same rain, the same NEPA, the same circumstances that government businesses are failing. So it therefore means that obviously we have to now smell the coffee. And ATIKU has smelled the coffee. And he has understood that government is not structured in such a way that it can do these things in a sustainable manner. So we must figure out a way to get private sector people to do it so that everybody wins. And the only business government will then have is to figure out how to pay the premium that its vulnerable citizens can come up with to give them the same access to quality health, just like you have in other developing countries. In terms of how we're changing the environment, I guess that answers that. And what we're doing for the healthcare, I guess that answers that. The major investment that this government of Peter Obi and ATIKU Abubakar will do is in human capital development, education, health, information technology, the things that represent an investment into the future. For even if you put all your money in infrastructure, it's not an investment into the future, really. The investment in the future is that we live by the maxim. It is the humans that we have that must be enabled, strengthened, and empowered to create the resources we need. So you can't do that unless you have health and education as things that will take minimum 25, 26, 30% of your budget. So that's where we're going to be going. And to be able to fund it, you've heard His Excellency say, and I'm saying it on his behalf again, and re-echoing it, he's going to have a lean government. And we're going to be restructuring the country. One of the reasons why we're restructuring the country will take me into the question of Dr. Wilson, the influx of people. Dr. Nelson, yes. Dr. Nelson Elia. Yes, Dr. Nelson Elia. I'm happy you're really good with statistics. Fact of the matter is that population is both an asset and a liability. It's an asset because you can potentially think that that's a market. It's a liability if you're not producing anything. And if you're not organizing yourself either to be a demand king or a supply king. If you're not manufacturing much, and if you're not producing much, then you have to be a demand king. If you're going to be a demand king, if you're going to be on the demand side of the economic equation, then you need to make sure that you have your people having economic power to participate. What's the point in 400, 1 billion people that can't buy a bag of rice for themselves? What value is that to anybody? So you need to figure out that you get your people to get a bit more productive by showing them the way to be able to plug in to the financial systems of the world. And obviously, you will then be able to have the kind of country you want. In terms of our borders, one of the reasons why ATIKU is the candidate, and I want to plead with us to let's spend time on this process. That's why we came all the way. It's not a very convenient time to leave Nigeria now. We're campaigning every day. We have a presidential debate in the next 2 days. I'm the spokesman of that campaign, and I consider it important enough to come. It's because I know that what happens after we win government, we're still going to be needing you, and we can't even win it without you. So any which way, we need you. And I think we will probably also need us. You don't want us to take your country and go and mess it up again. A dashed hope back on back will lead us into a revolution. We can almost sense it. Buhari came in under a lot of hope. Inability to plan, inability to ask the right question, he failed. What happens if ATIKU wins again on hope? God forbid. Truly, truly, God forbid. I banish the thought. So, in terms of President Koya,
No, you didn't answer the question.
Okay, yes. We brought him in because he has a good understanding of how the borders work. For the first 20 years of ATIKU's life, he was in charge of the borders of Nigeria and customs. And one of the things he taught him is that the 4,000 plus year borders that we have in Nigeria can be managed. The only thing that has affected us has been our own excessive belief in this concept of Big Brother Africa, which have then left us vulnerable to the misbehaviors of people from other people's country. Everybody is just strolling into Nigeria. We don't even have petrol in Nigeria. People in Nigeria have enough. People, just because the worldview had always been Big Brother and Africa, we have believed the lie that was told us to fleece us of our resources. Now, what we're saying now is that, yes, we will be Big Brother to anybody that wants us to be Big Brother, but we'll first of all have to be a responsible parent to our own offspring. That's right. For no responsible parent can open his eyes and allow the citizen die and live under those circumstances and claim to be doing Big Brother. So ATIKU is going to be a responsible parent. And our worldview is very simple and very clear. Nigeria demands its place relative to its size and its historical antecedent as the most populous black nation in the world. Nigeria is going to be redefining the kinds of partnership it's going to be engaging in now. We're no longer going to agree to a partnership arrangement that does not minimally benefit us. And we're not talking aids now. No one is giving Africa aid. No one is certainly giving Nigeria aid. They're taking a whole lot more than they're giving. And they're just, basically tricking us. But you know what? If we don't have our people in the diaspora say, oh, we want to do a program on FDI or on health. If we don't have people in the diaspora say, okay, don't worry, I'll go back, don't worry. We have the program here. Our people have the program, and then we can run it by ourselves. How are we going to be able to stop what they're doing? So they will come and bring their so-called experts, who are not really experts in anything, that are better than our Nigerians. They'll bring a very little amount of money. They will use consultancy bills to zap up all of the money, and then we're going to be looking at the short end of the stick. So our worldview is changing, but when you're really down, it's not really in your best interest to start screaming to the whole world, I have a worldview, I have a... No! The first thing we need to know, we are believing is that just like the people of the Arab Emirates, if you build it, they'll come. Thank you. That's what we're trying to do. And I think that explains how to bring the Nigerians in diaspora. Look, Nigerians in diaspora, which is much more interesting. A land of 1 million smiles, beautiful beads, costumes and delicacies that you cannot eat them all and taste them all, friendly hugs, fantastic sunshine, the most beautiful sunsets, obviously in the whole world, culture that is rich and meaningful, relationships that are binding and friendly and warm, or giants in an environment where you're just but the statistics. The only reason why you're here is because the circumstances at home are not better. If the circumstances at home were slightly better, that's why we now have dual citizenship. A whole lot of you will spend the winter period in Nigeria, probably could spend the summer period here. What's wrong with that? We can have both. And I think the earlier we start to work on it, the better. Remember, one generation got us out of slavery. One generation got us out of colonization. One generation got us out of military rule. Every generation must, out of relative obscurity, determine his own agenda and his own cry for the system, for the time. It must try to achieve it. And it must betray it at its own consequence. Consequences that will be very grave. Because your children will ask, where were you when all the other civilizations were discovering, developing, and carving a niche for themselves in the sands of time? I think I've answered the 3 questions. Thank you.
Please feel free to clap, please. Let's do that. Let's do that. Please. Wow.
When we were meeting in Chief Eke's house, somebody mentioned a question which Chief Eke directed that it should better be answered by SEGUN. And happy enough, SEGUN is here today.
Thank you, sir.
And that is, we know the tenacity with which people fight for election and how determined this present government is. The system that has been put in place through which the votes will be collected, it has not been perfected. So what is PDP's strategy to prevent any rigging or notion of it? Because as for voting for ATIKU, from what we have known or seen, people are very massively behind ATIKU. But what if all this effort comes to naught because of government's determined intervention?
Okay, Your Excellencies, thank you for this opportunity. My name is High Chief Oswago, the President of Igbo Council of Chiefs, New Jersey, and I'm experienced administrator in the U.S. Military and Veteran Affairs. Yeah, my question or observation is this. There's nothing you can do in Nigeria that does not involve taking bribes, the height of corruption, any little thing, message you send across, get me this, they must collect something to give it to you, even your birth certificate that is your birthright. Somebody must sit on it to give it to you. And followed by the police system. They need retraining. In America here, the police are the government. No police takes bribe. You need to retrain the police. Pay them very well, equip them very well. That will be part of wiping out the corruption. And your new government, if you win, must.
When they win.
Yeah.
They will win.
Okay.
Thank you.
Establish industries to reduce unemployment, joblessness, kidnapping, insecurity, so on and so forth. Everybody depends on oil in Nigeria. So without oil, Nigeria cannot survive as a nation. No tax system. America depends on tax. Whatever you buy in the market, you pay tax. Why is Nigeria so loose? Everything free, depend on oil. No safe efforts to get some money to build a government and electricity, water supply, good roads. All this constitutes to man's inhumanity to man. This is why people are dying every day. So, what's our government going to do about all this? We are ready to come home and roll heads. Anybody who does not want to do the work, we get him out. If you give us the opportunity. My son, who is in the FBI, during his internship, he was called upon by the SSS to come and work for them. Merely filling the application, they started demanding bribe from him. He called me, Dad, I'm not going to go. And also they told him, if you write a good report and present your case, they must change your report or they will kill you. For that, I'm not going. And you know this is happening in Nigeria. So you have to help us. Reassure our boys here to come home and work for you. Everybody here is very fair and genuine to come and help change Nigeria. Unless you assure and give us that opportunity, I think it will be hard. So you have to assure us that your government will give us that opportunity to come and roll it and help Nigeria work again. Okay? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Chief.
Mr. SEGUN. And you guys are welcome to New Jersey. First and foremost, I don't mean to impugn on your integrity or your representation of His Excellency in no shape or form. But what I'm impressed about in your delivery this evening is that you are eloquent and articulated about all that you have said on behalf of His Excellency. But what we get to understand from my existence on earth for the past 50 years, it's a lot of talk without action. My question to you this evening is that, knowing the history of our beloved ATIKU, and so also Peter Obi, great people, but people have their deficiencies. We know the history. We don't want to go back to that, but looking for a better Nigeria for the Nigerians. My question to you this evening is that you defended him very well. I agree with all the sustainable suggestions that you have made and the presentation that you made on his behalf. At the same token, I'm afraid that all that you have presented this evening, what is the chances of these things coming to reality? By the time ATIKU get in office, God willing, if he's the right person for us, because we prefer the lesser of the evils. There is no saint. Let's be realistic here. The lesser of the evil is preferred. Are you willing, as a representative of His Excellency, are you willing to commit yourself to returning back to the United States and conference with the same like-minded people or Nigerians in general to continue giving us progress report about that administration if it comes to pass? Not a situation whereby the vote is required. You are interested in the votes of Nigerians, and once they get to that throne, office, it becomes an history. I want you to personally commit yourself to the citizen of Nigeria in diaspora, that you, no matter what your office is, you will liaise with us. You will come back to see us again and deliberate with us and work with us to move Nigeria forward. I would like that commitment from you. By so doing, I will continue to pray for you, because we know we can access you and speak with you and hold you responsible for all that you have said tonight. Thank you very much.
It's down to leadership that is not willing or ready to see the truth, to accept the truth, and to walk the way. It is not exactly easy for anybody, especially of ATIKU Abubakar's leaning, to be passionate about restructuring. It's not a simple thing. It's okay for those in the South and the Igbos, the Yorubas, and all the Midwestern people to really want it. But here is a House of Fulani man who is obviously now the champion. We had a Yoruba man in Obasanjo there. If he had paid a bit of attention to, he could have been out of this restructuring argument. He didn't do it. We have another person there. We had Jonathan there. They didn't pay enough attention. Why should you trust ATIKU? That's the problem. It's because, think about it, in 1992, when he was much, much younger, when Biola wanted to be president, Yar'Adua wanted to be president, this young deputy director of custom, probably in his 40s, had the audacity to even begin to think that in the midst of those giants of that time, of that era, he was going to present himself as a presidential candidate. The guy must be very high on hope. And he came third. And it wasn't just third, it was such that the first and the second and the third had to go to a second ballot. Now think about it. When the die was cast, there was Babagana Kingibe, there was MK Abiola, and it was down to ATIKU and his people, men like Ejiofor, to decide on whose side should they lean. Now, it takes someone who understands what it means to run Nigeria and the delicate nature of the country we've been given and the cleavages that exist with our tribal arrangement for a Fulani man from the same northeastern zone like Babagana Kingibe to look at the strength of the agitation of the Yorubas and go cast his ballot there. The agreement at that time was that, okay, if he casts his ballot there, he'll probably be the vice presidential candidate at that time, 1992. This is the part that's instructed. Abiola got the mandate, he won the primaries, and he chose Kingibe. What did ATIKU do and what did Kingibe do post being called the vice presidential candidate? A young man like ATIKU, who could have been easily influenced his entire life, post services in front of him, he chose to stand with the Nigerian people. Whereas the beneficiary of the vice presidential lack of holding on to the promise jumped ship. And do you realize that since 1991-92, it doesn't matter whether ATIKU was in government or out of government, he had always borne and carried the burden of standing for the Nigerian people. It has not always been easy, it has not always been convenient. Most of the times, as if ATIKU is in a permanent war with the system, with the entrenched interest that will not go the right way. He can't. So one day I asked him, dude, Excellency, why are you like this? He said, you know what, Segun? I remember that when I started out, almost everything in this country worked. My first time leaving my village in Jara and coming to the town in Yola, they bought the car, whatever, the bus dropped me off and I put my bag down and it dropped me and it was evening time. There was a street light in Yola before independence. He sat there and he told me he gazed at it until morning. He said, I got every scholarship to go to school from native authorities, not even federal government, local government. I got encouraged to get a job with the Nigerian custom that gave me some opportunities to do. I didn't get more opportunities than any other custom officer. I was just more hungry for sustainable development for myself. And therefore, while my friends took their money and did whatever was convenient, I kept investing and investing. And I carried the risk of some of those so-called comments that are nothing but a made-up machination of the same entrenched interest we ask you to come together and let us defeat. All those things you list out are the reasons why he wants to be in government. It is after realizing that it's possible for these things to be achieved that it became clear to him that if it is not going to be a flash in the pan, maybe one brilliant administration of 4 years and then the system goes back to its old ways. That's why he's talking about restructuring. That every part of Nigeria will be given the administrative possibility to run with the dream of what is best for his own people within the corporate integrity and stability of the country. Believing that, there was never a time where any section of Nigeria ever wrote to another section of Nigeria to take a loan to manage its people. So, maybe the people that you look at today that you feel are disadvantaged, they are only disadvantaged because of the collapsing, paralyzing effect of the defective federal structure run. Do you know what it takes to say you're going to do that? ATIKU looks at how we are excessively dependent on oil. And it goes, I will privatize NNPC. It's not the most popular, vote-gaining thing to say in an environment like ours. But ATIKU understands, if we have had no other conversation around our hydrocarbon other than fraud, why not divest government interest a little bit out of it? Break it up. Attract private sector capital and private sector competence and private sector discipline into the running of these things, that we may wean ourselves of the malady of being a monoproduct economy. Remember, ATIKU played a significant role in allowing us to have GSM. Sometimes we take things for granted. Have you forgotten so soon how your colleagues and your family members and your relatives back home had to go to Mama Chinyere's house and beg her that my cousin is going to come from America at 7 o'clock, and when Mama Chinyere is a little bit upset, all you'll be hearing is can't get through, can't get through. When was the last time you tried to call anybody in Nigeria and you couldn't really get through? These are the things we know that are possible if you have a futuristic government that understands that administration of a country like Nigeria in modern times is not a convenience. It's a responsibility that must be borne with dignity. And ATIKU will do that. So, it's not about saying, one man, go get all the job done. Even Moses that led the Israelites out of Egypt, he had a band with him. They were diasporans too, if you remember. And today you know what he got. So, we are going to keep trying with anti-corruption. It's funny. It's funny that the one that fights corruption the most in a systemic manner is the one that everybody points the finger to in malice and hatred. First things first. Do you even know how we got EFCC? I'll tell you today. In 1999, you remember that our people here and all over the world used to write a lot of stupid letters, advance fee fraud, and before we knew it, we wrote ourselves out of financial reckoning in the world. Because what then happened was that any businessman from Nigeria who needed to write a letter of credit, and the banks was really, he had his money, and the banks was willing to open a letter of credit for him. At that time, the bank had to physically come and look for the cash there and put the cash down. It was just a very difficult and painful time. It seemed like it was insurmountable. It was ATIKU who came up, having spoken to other people, because he's not foolish enough to think he knows everything, with EFCC. The whole idea of that organization was to make sure that we can get our certification back. It's still standing, it's sustainable. Again, during ATIKU time on corruption, it was suddenly discovered by a peer review report from one of the Bretton Woods organizations, I can't remember, World Bank or one of them, and it said in clear terms, black and white, everything in procurement, in government, including paper and toilet roll and bio, is bought at the most expensive rates in Nigeria than anywhere in the world. Did you get that? No, you didn't. We were buying everything in government. It meant that if Nigerian government, any government office in Nigeria wanted to buy toilet roll, they found out that they would buy the toilet roll in the Nigerian government more expensive than any other government in the world. Now, what did ATIKU do? He's an ideas man. He sat down and came up with a public procurement policy. It is only to the public procurement policy that today that kind of ugly narrative no longer exists. Why? Because government was able to write a law that said that, look, my friends, in all of the ministries and agencies, you dare not buy toilet paper over and above this price that has been accepted as the price within the Nigerian government. What am I trying to say to you, sir? Corruption is an issue. The man in charge of the country today doesn't know how to fight corruption. He only has, you know, the determination of an incompetent person. The door is there. You need a key. He's insisting on breaking it with his head. How far can we get with that? You have to fight corruption with technology, ensuring first of all that you can track and prevent the thief. That's why we created single treasury accounts. That's why we created BVN. And ATIKU is even bringing the second one now, which maybe you will have the first person to hear it from my mouth, because he's not even told them yet. So Nigerians don't even know what's going to hit them. The others, the BVN and the single treasury account means that all the money of government, and you know, it goes into one account, so everybody can see it. Nobody has an account in one ministry anymore. That's the bringing in the money side. ATIKU is going to bring a counter concept that is going to also make us see who gets what. So you're going to have a window that shows how the money gets into one account so everybody can see it. And now you're going to have the second part of it, which is the magic. You're going to have a second window that makes everybody see who got what, which company, which bank. Therefore, you will be able to have single treasury preventing you from being able to keep the money under the table. And you'll be able to have a transparent revenue disbursement window that allows all Nigerians to know who got what. If we know who got in money, and if we know where the money, then we have started tracking it. And guess what? Look, every man will steal if the opportunity exists. The history of this environment where we are now is also replete of a lot of Africans, Europeans, everybody, Kokoyes, everybody. If you can beat the system, you'll beat it. That's the way the humans are created. But if we continue to apply technology, and that's where the members of this particular environment, you're giants in ICT, you design firewalls for everything. You need to come home now and come and write safety procedures that will make sure that government revenue cannot be easily stolen. And I tell you one other thing, under an ATIKU government, one of the problems we have in the country right now is that if look, we have an issue in Nigeria today. If anybody commits a crime in Nigeria and government decides to punish him, because we have lost our Nigerianness, we have all fallen back to our Imbiseness, our Belkutaness, our Imbaitone, you know, we've fallen back into our tribal info. In fact, we've even fallen further back from even our tribe. We are falling right down into our family, villages, and religious line. So, you can't punish an Anglican thief because he's an Anglican. You can't punish an Imbaino man because he's from Imbise. You know, this kind of nonsense. And what ATIKU says, and what he really means, is that he tells me, he says to Nigerians, I'm saying, look, I want to ensure that with the help of everybody, we can reduce our tribe, villages, cities, and all that, and be more focused on our Nigerian vision, because that's what can carry us forward. We're a big country. You asked the question on whether I will come back and the commitment. I was with my leader, Chividio, for today, earlier in the day before this program started. And I'm sure he will remember that in spite of the fact that we're working on the same campaign, we spent close to 3-4 hours where I was just asking him
after the one after the other, one after the other. How are we going to ensure and be oversure that we do not let the Nigerians down? And I charged him much earlier today that, sir, yourself and a few others that have been on this journey with him for such a long time, you have to now become the senatorium for Caesar. For how dare us install a president in ATIKU and allow anything to distract him? And every time I ask that question, I get doubly convinced that ATIKU gets it. ATIKU has no reason under the earth to trouble himself with wanting to solve the problem of Nigeria if he is not interested in really solving it. Why? There are those who come into government for fame. ATIKU has been popular in Nigeria, in the political space of Nigeria, and he has sustained his popularity, eclipsing many other people who ever got his chance, including the ones that were vice president before him and vice president after. So if it is political fame, he's already done that. People come into political space for money. Hello? I cannot imagine any desire of ATIKU for money that by the dint of the toilings and investment I cannot meet. It would have been convenient for ATIKU to just sit down in one corner of the globe, wherever corner he wants, buy an island, and just enjoy the rest of his life. So, my brother, I give you not just my commitment, I give you the commitment of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. I give you the commitment of Atiku Abubakar. Atiku will give Nigerians a State of the Union conversation every quarter. He's going to come to you every quarter and he's going to tell you, this is what we've done in this quarter, this is what we've done in this quarter, this is what we want to do in the next quarter, and he's going to do that every quarter. And in terms of coming to have the engagement,
that is your commitment.
Thank you.
That's your commitment.
That's my commitment. That's my commitment.
Thank you.
And in terms of coming here to have the engagement, I tell you what I think we should do with that. We're actually looking for a diaspora organization that has power. We don't want a diaspora organization that is weak. We want a diaspora organization that is powerful. We want a diaspora organization that sneezes, because we are going to be the guardians of your brothers and sisters of the motherland. And the person in charge must catch a cold. How do you achieve that? You can only achieve that on behalf of all of us by organizing yourselves well. We're not hopeful, we are praying, we are begging you that after this period is over and victory has been attained, do not undermine your own organizations.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, tomorrow belongs to the next generation, the youth. Since she has taken time to come here, to come ask questions and listen to the spokesman of His Excellency, we are going to have the youth do the closing prayer. Let me call on Ms. Oluchi Odemena. Please come forward, please. Come help us close it.
Rise for prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear God, thank you for gathering all of us here today, and thank you for everyone who came out today. Thank you for everyone who participated and asked questions in regards to ATIKU, and let's pray that Mr. ATIKU becomes the next president of Nigeria.
Amen.
And give him the wisdom to help us rebuild the country.
Like a little sister. You are